Here we will put the original drawing. Okay. Just to see how to start the drawings, okay. Tú revisa, Jorge, que esto esté bien. I will make a general blocking, and then I will put the colors, and we will try to add the names of every single line, okay? Let's start by that one. We'll start by the center line. On that case, I am not using side size or any measurement. I will just start by the torso, and I will say that this is my general true. I will start pretty abstract because now I just want to place the stuff, okay? ¿Alguien lleva el tiempo?
¿La cámara?
No, el tiempo... No, la cámara no lo lleva. Just like that I know... Okay. This line of the pectoral, once I go for that, I will go for the other one. On that case, we cannot see the clavicles that much. We can use a little bit of that abstract shape. Here I know that there is the pit of the neck. I am like something is very weird here, okay? If something is very weird, what normally are those super ankle points, you know? What I will try to do is let them more open and keep things more open, basically, you know? This is like giving us the possibility to be more like less specific, which gives us more room to make mistakes, you know? And all the time that I am not happy how I start that, this is good for you because you can see if I am struggling or whatever, you know? Let's say this is the shadow shape. If this is center line, I can analyze that abstract shape that is appearing here. This is more or less here, and if this is more or less here, yeah, this is more or less there. If this is here, this is here, okay. We have 1, 2, this goes in that direction. And if that is that, here we have the part of the oblique, and also we can relate with that. I think arm is getting a little bit too, actually that inclination can be even more. It's very extreme, that pose. This goes in that direction. If this is here, this is here. This theoretically goes here. Okay. Bam, I can find that overlap. See, maybe that belly bottom can go a little bit higher. This goes there, if that is here. This part is flexed, the other part is extended, okay? I want to show that. This is very important. In contrapposto, it will help a lot to give more sense of gesture, okay? Always try to find that in relation to the belly bottom. Okay, If this goes like that, this is here, from the center line we can go to that leg to get the gesture. Pam, pam. If that is like that, here in general always we will have the point of the great trochanter that is going more out. Pam. I want to check more or less where is the belly button in relation on the foot. We'll not use now the plumb line because I don't have the board or whatever, but I can see that this is more or less on the middle of the standing foot, which means that what I will do is take down that. This is more or less here. And to know how big he will be, I could keep checking those relationships a little bit better. I think this is still too long. If this is here, theoretically the belly button goes here. Now I have two possibilities. One is to keep going from up to down, okay? This is a possibility and it can work very well, okay? The other one that I recommend to you, but I am not really good doing that, is like I could take more or less where is the middle point of the figure, that in general it will be some around here, and check it. I can go and check there. I never do that in my drawings, but I will check first that point and I will go high. Okay, I can see that if I go from the foot to here, then arrive more or less here, okay? Which means that I will take that point. We'll see what happens. Okay, more or less from the foot to that point is arriving more or less to the eye line, okay? More or less. This actually, if it's precise, it can help to me because I know already that the eye line, it will be something like that, okay? Which means that if I go from the eye line to that, yeah, from the eye line to that is more or less where the foots are, which means that I can do more or less like that, pam, little bit less. I take this down, and I know that the foot is more or less here. You know what I mean? This is like for taking comparative measurements. More or less, I have now, like if that and that is good, I know that the foot more or less is here. For those who don't want to use side size, taking those measurements, it can be very useful. You know, for the ones that you are beginning, I will start with side size. For the ones that you are not beginning, I would never do again side size, okay? It will be just, this is not the true, eh? This is like, let's say, what is the name? 80% true, okay? Which means that maybe it's here, maybe it's there. You know, we want to be very accurate on proportions. This maybe don't look very professional, but let's say that proportions are very, very, very important. Are other points that also are very important, which means that we want to work on proportions a lot. We want to work also in other stuff, okay? Because there is other stuff that, in my opinion, also can help the proportions. Okay, we have that. Here we have this and this. The knee is more or less here. Okay, let's say more or less here. This I just do comparative measurements, okay? From that I go here, and if the knee is here, I like a lot that gesture that we have here. Let's see where is that in relation to that, more or less here. Okay, which means that the foot is more or less here. That pose have a very nice gesture, you know, and we want to get that gesture. Now I have the basic mannequin, okay? I am quite happy. What we could do is play a little bit. ¿Cuánto tiempo? How much time?
10 minutes.
Okay, we are going. Let's try to just enjoy that moment, okay? I don't want to go farther. If this is the pit of the neck, they relate with that the space is extremely bad. You know what I mean? Which means that this can go even lower. All my drawing, even if was looking good and I was happy, I will consider as a wrong thing, and this will allow me to refine opportunities to improve, let's say in that way, you know? Not problems, opportunities to improve, okay? Okay, this is here, this can be here, this can be here. I want to keep going for, maybe my lines are not the best ones in the world now, but it's fine. Oh, if this is here and this is more or less here, the great crocanter is extremely bad, you know, needs to be here. In relation to that, yeah. Which means that all those things are happening to me. I know from the beginning that this would happen to me, you know. And it's fine. I could try to work harder to avoid that, but normally I give myself some room for mistakes, you know, I like that. But this means that I will recheck everything all the time, okay? This goes here, which means that goes more in. And let's try to find a nice movement in my decisions. This is not about the portrait. I don't want to work on my portrait now. So maybe you can go a little bit lower in relation to the pit of the neck. This could go like that. Pam, pam. Pam, pam, okay. This goes like that. If the belly bottom is here, this is still here. This is still here. Actually, this, I want that goes pam, pam. Yeah. If that is here, maybe that can go a little bit more there. This is a nice rhythm, you know. Goes more or less together. I know that this line don't goes with that line in a form way of thinking, but in an abstract way of thinking now, it could be together. This could go a little bit more in, maybe this can go a little bit more in, but let's say that I am not extremely, but I am quite happy with what we get here. Let's see. If that is here, always that point, it will be related with that point. That point is producing that cast shadow because it's where the box is changing, you know, which means that the distance from here is a little bit bigger than that because this is one plane. And if that is here, that is there, which means that the arm maybe can go a little bit thicker. In general, one thing that I always do is separate. I would like to have just one line for my arm, but in general we have more than one, okay? I'm telling you now why. Because in general, the deltoid don't goes connected with the other part, okay? This is always happening. And if I try to connect it, it will just look weird. You know, it's like that line goes like that and this goes a little bit lower. Then something is happening here, but it's too precise for now and I don't want to have those, I don't want to have super big decisions now, okay? Which means that this will be what all of you want doing the blocking on the figures. Make sense? Okay. Now, I think let's start to play with colors. ¿Se ve bien el dibujo o es muy claro?
Se ve bien.
Vale, guay. Okay. First thing, center line. 1, 2, and 3, okay? Center line is not 1. There is one that goes on the part until the sternum, more or less. The other part is the upper part of the stomach, and then this one, okay? Don't do one line. Try to break it in these 3 lines, okay? This is my recommendation, okay? Okay, we have that line. Let's speak about other lines. Pectorals. This line goes with this line, okay? And that point here is brother of that point here. You know what I mean? Pam, pam. That point here is the brother approximately about that point here, okay? And we need to know every single point with his brother. Makes sense? That point here, that this will be part of the arch of the rib cage. It will go more or less with that part, okay? Here is very subtle, but we can see on the image that there is a line that is producing the part of the oblique, and in the other side, we need the same line that it produces the same form, okay? Which means that that contour here, actually that contour goes with something in the middle here, okay? But it will be that. But actually that point, it will be around here, on that part. This makes sense? Yellow is not visible. ¿Hay más colores? Okay, that point here goes with that and goes with that. And all that, now is not super perfect, but it will need to produce a 3D form, you know, that have the center here, which means that that space needs to be a little bit smaller than that because it's a little bit on 3/4, okay? Yesterday you were doing the morpho books, you know, and if we show there, we will see that this goes a little bit like that and like that. Those details, it will increase the level of complexity and the sophistication in our work, and I think is cool. It's not our main point now, but it's very important. That point here goes with that point here. And actually, when we have that center line, it needs to go more or less on the center here, okay? This, we want to think about that. ¿Me das algunos? This point here, it will go with that one here, okay? Here in general, we will have the clavicles, but again, we cannot see here. In general also, here we will have the overlap of the pectoral, and that overlap, it will go also with that one, you know? And we want to think about that form and how that form is connected with that form all the time, okay? Yeah, these are the, I think, main lines. That. Okay, this, I forgot to say this. The legs, we don't want just that rhythm. The leg have that kind of section, you know, which means that always the leg goes from something that is thicker to something that is thinner. And the lower leg, that one actually is the same, but we cannot see it. And the lower leg is the same. We have that with that. If it have a kind of gesture that goes in that direction, pam, you know. If we do the legs like that, it will look somebody that had a heart accident, went to the hospital, they destroyed his bone, and they just put the bone straight when it's not possible. Which means that we want to know the general directions of every single part, okay? For example, that lower arm, also, the first simplification, it will go like that. is noticed. It have a rhythm. If you see my arm, that arm goes like that, which means that every time that we make a form, we want to know which direction is going on. This makes sense? If you work hard in like less than 1 month, we can be able to know, because actually there is lower arm, upper arm, the torso, the part of the pelvis, upper leg, lower leg. You know, then okay, we want to study these parts, and then on the arm there is the elbow. Yeah, is this elbow? The elbow, the wrist, and the hand. You know, those points of connection between two parts will take a special attention. Okay, this is useful. Okay, we can do very fast the other one. Can you give me? ¿Puedes dar otro papel? Without the colors, but just to see about how to take the. And I would like that people, like you are doing the figure in the afternoon, this morning we can work on that more, okay? Let's be focused on understanding the basic